Okay, you'll notice that lots of people reference the land pyramid, well, in the first couple of essays, but if you have actually do some research in environmental ethics, you'll see the land pyramid come up a lot. This is an idea put forward by Aldo Leopold. It is, by the way, absolutely scientifically sound. So this is not some philosophical conjecture. This is a very scientific point of view. So Leopold says, sorry, I'm reading from my notes over here. To talk of a balance of nature it's not the right paradigm, because balance doesn't really capture the complexity of natural interaction between different living things. A pyramid is a better analogy, and that's what I have up here, the land pyramid. It is in the reading, it's in Leopold. So you begin in the land pyramid with the soil and the sunlight and water. Maybe note, none of those things are actually organic or living. And that produces fertile soil, which is living, okay? Yes, there are living organisms in fertile soil. And from the soil, we get plants, and then the plants produce animals, like herbivores that eat the plants. Deer is the most common thing around here, probably. Well, cows too, but and they're imported, but deer, cows, things like that. And then the next level is omnivores. Those are things that eat both plants and animals. So for instance, us, human beings, we eat plants, we eat animals, we eat both. We're not the only omnivores in the world. Bears, again, we have bears around, well, in California at least. Those are omnivores. Then we get carnivores, things that only eat other animals, primarily or almost exclusively. Mountain lions, in our case, in our local environment. So we have the carnivores. I don't know why they put carnivores separate from apex predators on this graph. Sorry, I looked at a few of them. The carnivores are the apex predators, okay? And this is true of every environment. I'm giving examples from our local area, but you can go anywhere in the world and you have the same kind of pyramid system going on. In fact, you can go to the oceans, where the carnivores are the sharks, right? So the idea here is that this is really about energy. Energy is transferred up the pyramid and gets more and more concentrated as you go up the pyramid. So you get the real source of energy, period, is the sun. Everything comes from the sun. That's the source of energy for the entire planet. And through plants' photosynthesis, we get energy in plants, which the omnivores can consume. It gets more concentrated up to the carnivores. And so the energy is transferred up the pyramid, and then when things die, things decompose and go back to the soil in the form of nutrients and other things. Still need sunlight, still need an infusion of energy, but okay, so the point of this whole thing, though, is when you're talking about preserving an environment, let's more specifically an ecosystem, okay? You need to preserve this energy system, goes up and down, and you need to preserve that energy system. When you import things from other environments, it disrupts the pyramid, that is the system in that place. Or when you take things out, it disrupts the system. I mean, if you build a city, you're not going to have soil. You're not going to have as much soil. You're not going to have as many plants growing. The whole pyramid collapses. Okay. So the key thing to kind of recognize on this deal is how high up we are on this pyramid. We are, omnivores here. If we remove the layers below us, the herbivores, the plants, or the soil, or anything, it collapses the entire pyramid. In other words, the land becomes absolutely unsustainable for us to live on. And this is so these are the kind of the lessons you're supposed to learn from this land pyramid. We depend on all the layers below us. By the way, we also depend on the carnivores play an essential role in the ecosystem, so it's not just that. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay. So Leopold says that man's technology has made it possible for him or us to cause rapid and severe changes in the mechanisms that sustain life. That is, we disrupt these land pyramids all over the place in all sorts of ways. By building cities on it, right? That's, of course. So the more human population, the less possibility the land can sustain itself. This also, it has to do with invasive species, because if you bring in invasive species, they are not part of the local ecosystem. There may not be natural predators. It may disrupt the land pyramid. Can the land adapt is his question. This depends. Generally speaking, however, the more violence committed on the land, the more we screw it up and do things to it, the worse it's going to be, and the more population density. Population is a huge issue in environmental ethics, because the more people there are, the less of everything else. Just put it simply that way. The more people there are, the less you have of everything else. The less deer you have, the less bears you have, the less mountain lions you have. Maybe even the less plants, because you look at how paved over Santa Clara is. Even less plants and insects, everything. So we're messing with the land pyramid. That's the bottom line. And when we do that, we are disrupting the environment and perhaps creating huge environmental catastrophes in the process, depending on how widespread this is and how much we do it and where we do it. That's the idea of the land pyramid. All right. Now, one other last thing. I'm not going to go through the essays all in point by point, but I will point out one other thing. Actually, this is mentioned in both Callicott and Leopold, and in the video that I also posted from the other guy. I forgot his name. Sorry. And that is what's called the categorical imperative of the land ethic. This is Leopold, actually. He's the one who said it, and it's in his essay. Like I said, Callicott quotes it, and so does the other guy. And that is this: a thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. Biotic community. That, in modern language, would mean ecosystem. Pretty much the same thing as an ecosystem. A biotic community is an ecosystem. So, a thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. It is wrong when it tends otherwise. This is kind of the categorical imperative, like the main rule, the main law. for the environmentalists in Leopold's philosophy, which is a widely held philosophy on the environment. Quickly, one other thing I should note, just speaking of terminology, the biotic community means ecosystem. Conservationist, they didn't have the term environmentalist when Leopold was writing. This was 100 years ago. So when you read the term conservationist, you should kind of, have in your mind environmentalist when you see that. That's just a terminological thing. Okay, good luck with the readings.